What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, everybody? Is Wayne Peterson, also known as Mr. Al Pete, president of the Northeast Florida National Association of Broadcast Black Journalists. My apologies on that. Hopefully, everybody is good. Hopefully, you got your lunch together and you are ready to dive into a conversation with a great person. But first off, just want to make sure that I reiterate what this is off. I want to give a sincere apology about my sinuses or whatever. I woke up this morning and it was like, yeah, you gonna get online sounding crazy. So bear with me, bear with me. I have my water right here so I can keep myself hydrated in the midst of it. But nevertheless, we're gonna have a good conversation. So I'm gonna read Carla Mechele's bio. So bear with me. Um, Carla Jones is an independent journalist and CEO of Carla Mechele Media LLC. She's a native of Jacksonville. She graduated from the University of Florida, Go Gators, with a degree in broadcast journalism and a minor in political science. And she has 20 years experience in the media industry, and she has worked for ABC News, NPR, Inside Edition, ESPN, and First Coast News locally before starting her business. And she established Carla Mechele Media in 2015, which provides storytelling with strategy through video production, independent journalism, publicity, content creation, and influence marketing. So let's give a round of applause for Miss Carla.
Hi. I can't hear you.
Because I'm muted. Okay, there we go. All right. How's it going? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here with you today on this Friday. How are you? I know you're a little stuffy, but I appreciate you.
A little stuffy. Jesus Christ, this thing! I feel like the whole world is in me right now. It don't make no sense. So,
Yeah,
but outside that,
yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm thankful that you're here to do this present prosperity. Thank you so much for being here for this. This is very important. We started this in 2023. Shouts out to Lynn Jones. This is her idea, so I want to make sure this idea keeps going, and we just have those important conversations that I feel like need to be had in the communication media space, and just talking with all various amount of people. And your work and everything that you do, that you have been doing, has been very has just been stellar. So looking forward to having this conversation with you today.
Thank you. And back at you. You do so much work for so long in the community, and people know you from different things, but you are underappreciated and underrated. So I thank you and your support and your congratulations means a lot.
Indeed. I appreciate it. More to come. More to come. So I'm gonna start off with this question. What does present and prosperity mean to you? Like when somebody says present and prosperity, is there a certain thing that you think of that, you know, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you have a word or a phrase or what have you?
Well, my first thought is Black journalism, considering the fact that Miss Lynn came up with this idea and it's um, birthed out of the National Association of Black Journalists Northeast Florida chapter. I think of a Black journalist, and I am in a unique space because I did major in broadcast journalism, and I've worked in local news. I've also done work with ABC News, localizing national breaking stories. So I have experience inside the industry and inside the newsroom as well as outside now as an independent journalist. And throughout the years, I've always kind of had a phrase to myself that every Black journalist is an activist too. And I really believe that because our perspective is unique and we can't, we would love to, I mean, every journalist has to be objective, but we cannot, we have to make the choice between being objective and invalidating our personal perspective and insight that we bring to do the job well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's go back to the genesis of everything. What made you get into journalism? I always love asking this question to people that's in the communication field because
Yeah.
I think about my journey. What why I went back, why I love journalism so much or communications field. So I'm just interested to know what sparked that what sparked you to get into that field.
Well, I'm gonna have to hold myself back a little bit because I am a very curious person. So I immediately wanted to ask you what made you get into it. But I'll share first, probably the fact that my mom captures everything. And I don't know where she gets it from, but from a very young age, I just remember her always having a camcorder. And even when I was like 1 year old, being on the park, and we call it like the most boring video ever, but I'm like just learning to walk and I'm on the playground and she's just following me around with the camcorder. So I think I was used to having my life recorded and the beauty of that feeling of going back and watching. And it kind of just boosts your memory because there's things that you might remember just from your mind, and then when you see it, you can recall it differently, or it's a different puzzle piece to it. Kind of like sharing memories with friends. So
Right.
I think that's what you know where my original love from it came. And then as a kid, once my brother was born, we used to make plays. So like all the skits that we see on social media now, it makes us laugh because we were doing that when we were kids. Like I always loved talk shows, so we would recreate talk shows whenever my cousins came over. We would set up the camera. I would pretend to be the talk show host. We would do like makeovers with them, and that's really where it came from. And so I kind of just followed that path when I got into school and realized it's a genuine interest that I can take somewhere and it can become a career for me.
Nice, nice, nice. Them reenactments when you were a kid, them things be the they be the best. You set it up and you had like a doll and a toy as a
Yes,
guest.
yes,
So
yes.
for me, one of my favorite subject is English. So English, I love to write. I just love the English aspect of things. And then I was doing poetry and hip hop. So just writing rhymes and poetry. And at the time I wanted to draw, but then I got into physics and was like, nah, that's not the way. And then I was trying to find something else that I would enjoy. And so I got into a journalism class in high school, and that was a wrap. And then I was always intrigued by like reading the Source magazine, watching Yo on TV rap. So me getting into journalism was definitely through hip hop. So I used to watch those shows like Joe Claire, Big Les. Um, all that stuff. So that influenced me like crazy. And so I
Oh,
just when I went to college, I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to do, the communications part. And I
yeah.
said I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to do the news. So
You just made me think of like Right On magazine, and
yeah.
everybody had those like clips out of the magazines, and your favorite rapper and stuff on my wall in my bedroom and things like that. So that I didn't even think about that part, but that definitely had an influence. And like Team Summit on being
Yeah.
even hits from the street, like the
Oh man.
comedian angle, like the men on the street interviews, and I was extremely shy, so that's the crazy thing about it. But I really think that is what brought me out. I was always shy, but I liked to connect to people one on one in interviews. So that is kind of what always drove me. And in high school, I also got a chance to job shadow with Joyce Morgan in
Okay.
Jacksonville. She was Channel 4. So I spent the day there, and I was like, okay, this really is what I want to do. So I pursued it in college.
Nice, nice, nice. And how was that experience in college? Like, I mean, you went to University of Florida, so
Yeah.
their communication field is I mean, everything at University of Florida is prestige. But how was that? How was that experience?
Thank you for saying that. Yes, I did get a scholarship in the journalism department once I was at the school. At It was called the Philip L. Graham Scholarship, and I think he is associated with the Washington Post.
Okay.
So that was helpful. It kind of made me feel like, okay, I am on the right track. But I loved it because pretty early on, I think my sophomore year, after we finished our general education classes, we had an on campus radio and television station. So I spent a lot of time there. And that was exciting because it's like you get a taste of that world before you're actually in it and having it as a job. So I was thrilled. That didn't even feel like school at that time. And then we got opportunities like ESPN because of the Gator games
Yep.
would come and film the games or broadcast it live. So we got internships to be on the field in the midst of everything, like with Tebow and Chris Leak, and getting that experience kind of at the height of like being sports champs also. So it was kind of like everything was on a high and a high level. So it was fun, and I also learned a lot.
Okay. Excuse me, y'all. So I guess we can shift into like the independent action.
Mm-hmm.
Curious to know like what made you go the independent route, because I mean you could have stayed doing. I mean you're coming from University of Florida, ESPN, NPR, which I love NPR news. I love everything about NPR. All those things, but you go into the independent route. What was the reason for that?
Yeah. For me, getting in the business after school, my first job was at First Coast News, and it was tough on me just personally, and I didn't realize like the impact it would have on me being, kind of an empath or sensitive spirit. I didn't realize like how desensitized news would make me,
Mm,
and how difficult it would be to have to report on negative things every day. And even just at an entry level, my job was to answer phones, which rang nonstop, and then check in. We would monitor police scanners at that time, and so I would check in to confirm a story, and bodies found and murders, and it did take a toll on me. And then also during the economic crash of 2008, we had to go on work furloughs. That was kind of just the state of the world in the economy. So it ended up just not being a good situation for me at that time. And I was kind of thrust into looking at other opportunities. And that's when I ended up going into marketing. So once I got into marketing for a law firm, and then he bought a basketball team, I pitched to him to become his marketing director. And that kind of landed me back in news because I would pitch stories and go on as a spokesperson. So I always say it kind of always found me. And that's what made me kind of create an idea of how to do this on my own outside of the news industry.
gotcha. And you mentioned the marketing director side, so you're very heavy on like the strategy action. Like the strategy is like very very important when it comes to the marketing part.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about the strategy action when it comes to storytelling. Like, because I feel like the media today sometimes I feel like they miss out on the strategy part. I feel like the strategy is like lost. So how important is it to have the strategy part within your storytelling and just news in general?
Yeah, I think for me it's evolved with how the state of journalism has evolved, because now it's more like people driven, and audience driven in terms of people can create their own content. And
Right.
so, whereas when I was in the news stations, we had to go out and get everything. But
Yeah.
these days, people are capturing themselves and they can send it in. But stations are still like short staffed, especially now, like the current state. But going back to the question, yes, strategy. My tagline is storytelling with strategy, and I for my clients I act as an independent journalist. So I bring the skills of being able to create a reporting package and voicing that and telling the story and making sure that we attribute the sources and that we vet each person. And then we have a call to action at the end of the videos I produce or whatever campaign that we're having, using storytelling to connect with people and then giving them something to do at the end of it, so that you don't just leave them with a great story, but you allow that story to move them to take some action.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. That strategy action is like very important, and or strategy being intentional. Um, yeah, that intentional action is like very important when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
storytelling or getting. I mean, with anything that you do, having intention is like perfect. But I know specifically, I feel like that's like a driven factor when it comes to like journalism and marketing, all that stuff. Like you have to really understand the strategy, like have a strategic plan to make sure that you're conveying the information that you're asking for and that you're giving out. So, um, yeah, I just feel like the media now, it just they forget it a lot. I see a lot of it forgetting, just like what are y'all doing? But I don't know. I don't want to sound like the uncle in the room. So, I mean, maybe somebody want to just do content. I mean, and that's fine. So, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
think it's different levels of it for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But when it comes to the independent aspect of it, I feel like the strategic part is like very, very important because like you're in control of your own stuff versus I guess having like a system that you have to like abide by.
Correct. You kind of have to create your own system, which
Yeah.
is cool, but you have to kind of monitor and discipline yourself in that regard. I honestly don't find it too hard because I really enjoy it, and maybe I enjoy being organized about it. But I think the impact, like you're saying, like I want my stories to have an impact, and that's not always the case. But if you get a chance to um, have your story move somebody, that I think that's what organizations want, and that's what allows you to be sustainable as a business. So as a business, what's different from journalism as just from a news station perspective is in business you have to meet your customers' need.
Yep.
You're providing a solution for them.
Right.
So you're telling a story and it's an authentic story, but how does it impact that business? You always have to think of that at the end of it. And I just do want to give a tip because thankfully I learned through marketing. I had a great mentor named Hester. She had a company called Hester Group, and I learned a lot about how to form my own business. I still had that writing skill, so I was a federal proposal writer with her company, and so I learned a lot about what federal contractors are looking for, what the federal government is looking for, what government contractors are looking for. So um, uh, that is what so government contracting is a good thing to get into if you are a storyteller, and there are resources like the Jack's Chamber and Women's Business Center that help you get from one level to the next.
Indeed, indeed. Real quick to do a quick reset, we here with Carla Michelle about talking about her journey with journalism in the communication space, independent journalism, and her path with all of that. So I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, people, feel free to put them in the chat, and then we'll do a Q&A towards the end. Um, so you talk about the government, but let's talk about some of the stories that you enjoy creating. Um, you recently did something with the Jaguars. Um, something that we're working on personally with the Lift Every Voice and Sing situation. Um, oh man, you've done so many stories. Like uh, the one that was really really great, and I thought that was really good for Wind Down Wednesday was when you did the whole what was it, the Myrtle Ave situation. Like how was that created and all that? Like talk about some of the stories that you like to tell.
Well, I'm grateful too because I get great clients who have cool ideas. And in that
Mm-hmm.
case, they were having a Juneteenth event in an area, a neighborhood that was historically black. And it's since been a little bit gentrified, but they wanted to connect to the roots of the neighborhood. And that's like ideal for me. So I researched what the neighborhood had been. And some of these stories we're kind of aware of, but then when you research it, you realize like the power of it. And
Right.
for that one, it was the colored man's railroad. So at that time during segregation, black people weren't allowed to, ride the same railways as white people. So we created our own. And that street, Myrtle Ave, was a main thoroughfare where the colored man's railroad would run. So I love digging up the stories and connecting that to why we want to have Juneteenth at this place in this neighborhood. And
Right.
I just think that even makes the event so much better because it has a purpose.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm a nerd with that stuff. So when I saw that, I mean, I had got wind that, excuse me, I had got wind that you were doing it, and so I was like, I was just waiting for you to do it. Then when you presented it, I was just like, man, it just elevated the event. It was a different type of way to promote the event, and it was just beautiful how that connected. And I think people like us that see the importance of that, it was beautiful. It was very beautiful how that was tied into something that people probably be like, oh, they just drinking wine and black folks getting together, but it was like a tie-in to it, and it just made more sense, and it elevated like the purpose of what was going on there and like where it was happening at. So it was beautiful,
Thank you. And absolutely, even the fact that we are getting together and drinking wine is purposeful. And
purposeful. Yep.
one of my favorite things about that story is finding an old picture in La Villa where people were in a bar and they were just smiling together and having a drink. And it's this old picture, no color, but we doing the same thing as back then.
Right.
Um, and so I love that. It's because our recreation, us being able to be human, is part of us being able to have that prosperity that we're speaking of.
Gotcha. Lift their excuse me, lift their voice in the same park. Let's talk about
Yes.
that. Like that was major, and I know for me over here, I want to do the justice to make sure that your story and the collective of women that added to that, I want to make sure that that gets showcased. And we're talking about that more to come, people. But let's just talk a little bit about Lift Every Voice in Same Park. Like, how was that? Um, was that in? I mean, I know it's important to you, but like, share your thoughts on that.
It's so many layers of it because I'm thankful to so many people who brought me into the project, including Community Planning Collaborative.
Hmm.
They were the prime contractors, and so I came in as a subcontractor through their request, and I'm grateful for that. And so I worked with Aaron Kendrick on the graphic design as a sub consultant. And then we all worked together with Ashante Williamson and Company and Charmian Thrasher to do the fabrication. So, with all that said, we were able to create the historical markers that are in the park. So, if you go to the park and you read about James Weldon Johnson on the markers and his family, that is what we were able to do, and it was amazing. Like Yale has an archive of old photos from James Weldon Johnson and his writings, and so we were able to dig into those, and I was able to pull out what's the best photo to match the narratives that we're writing so that we tell a full story. And I'm grateful too to the DuPont Fund for hiring my company back to activate the park now. So now we're reaching back out to that same group of people who helped bring the park to completion, including Mr. Lloyd Washington with the Durkeeville Historical Society, Ms. Carol Alexander with the A.L. Lewis Museum in Fernandina Beach or American Beach. And so all these historians who have come before me, I'm grateful to be able to work with them and learn so much and make sure that when we bring programming to the park, again, that same thing like that video, we want to connect what we're doing now to what we already did then. Because a lot of times we're not recreating this stuff. I mean, we're not recreating the wheel. We stand on the shoulders of giants. So I think that's always important to know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, very very important, and I appreciate you. Uh, the will. I know like you're nerded out working with these historians, and even with that, like your family is tied into a lot of the historical aspects of it. Correct? Let's speak about that a little bit. I don't want to give too much because of what we're going to be working on, but
Okay.
if you could give like a surface of like how your family is tied into it and how important that is to you.
Sure. For years, well, when I was about 9 years old, my grandmother moved from Sherwood. Both my grandparents did, into a home in Durkeeville. And all I knew was who we called Cousin Sally lived in the home. It was her home. She lived in the smallest room in the house, by the way, near the balcony, off of Myrtle and Hart Street. And I used to make phone calls for her. So she would ask me on that old rotary phone. It was like this beautiful antique phone to make calls for her. She was in her like mid 90s. And she ended up passing away. My grandmother would take care of her. It was her aunt. And so when she passed away, she left the home to my grandmother. And then just over the years, I would hear people talk about Blodgett, and my grandmother would talk about him, or she'll pull out like photos or like memorabilia with his name on it. And then when I started doing my work, so this is like 20 years plus that I didn't even know the full story. But then I realized that Joseph Blodgett is one of the first Black architects and millionaires in Florida.
Right.
And he built a lot of the homes in Durkeeville that A.L. Lewis lived in, who was another one of the first Black millionaires. He built like this elite row of homes for our doctors and attorneys at that time, and people of kind of white collar jobs. But Durkeeville was also, it didn't just have that community, it was for everyone. And that's what I loved about it the most. But yes, so my grandmother lives in the home that Joseph Blodgett built for his daughter. She currently lives there. Her and my granddad do, but it's hers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Is there anything coming up that you're working on that you would like to share in regards to storytelling or just what your media company is working on?
Yes. So park activation is the main thing. We have now booked yoga at Lift Every Voice and Sing Park every Thursday from 6 to 7. And I'm excited because I'm able to get some yoga teachers out there who aren't as well known in the community. And also, we know like there are a lot of Black people who want to try yoga or just fitness in general, but they don't feel represented in that space. So I'm happy to be working with Black yoga teachers, men and women, every Thursday from 6 to 7 at Lift Every Voice and Sing Park. And then we have some events coming up that we're tying into Black Excellence Fest. And eventually, we want to have Black History Month events out there. But as we populate that calendar, it will be available. But you can go to Levs Park Jax on Instagram or levsparkjax.org for more information about that. Otherwise, I am working on some heritage trails in the city of Gainesville, and these are Black heritage trails in Durkeeville, and the La Villa Heritage Trail, which should be implemented either this year or next year.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh man, so we finna get more Black history in Florida because I feel like at times I'm like I remember like a couple years ago I was like, why isn't there enough like Black history in Florida? Everywhere else I went, it was cool, but in Florida, I was like, it just seemed like it was so quiet. So this is really good that you're doing that. Like you're bringing it up to for everybody to see.
And the crazy thing is, I mean, Florida is where so many things started. Like it's and Jacksonville. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Stanton was the first school for Black kids right out of slavery. So 1865. In all of Florida, that was the only school for Black students. So we were liberated 1865, 1866. That school was formed. Brewster Hospital only serviced Black people. Both of my parents were born there.
right.
And so I've said before, and in that Jaguars interview, shout out to them. We always talk about the negative things, and I saw something yesterday that says slavery is white history. How we survived it is Black history. Because a lot of the things, and especially in Jacksonville, like you talk about Black history, people want to take you to Kingsley Plantation immediately. And
Right, right,
great. I'm glad they preserved that, but that's not all we have. We have so many things that will make us feel inspired rather than like depressed or like anxious or sad about what we went through. I mean, there's so many sites. So I'm really looking forward to the La Villa Heritage Trail being implemented, because there will be 26 markers in the La Villa neighborhood, which was our Black Wall Street, which people call the Harlem of the South, but really we've reframed it, and this is attributed to Ennis Davis as La Villa is the Harlem of the North because Jacksonville inspired the Great Migration. So there's a lot. There's a lot, but hopefully that my stories can shed a little bit more light, but there are other resources. Kind of have to dig for it, but hopefully one day it will be more readily accessible.
gotcha, gotcha. Well, excuse me. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody else has been looking forward to it. People, if you have not followed Carla Mechele and her work, she's an absolute great storyteller, and being part of this historic moves in Florida and just in Black History period is like the greatest thing. And then having a team of people that you're working with and people that allow you to have you as an independent journalist, come in and work. So, um, yeah, I hope this is influential to everybody that's listening to it. And if you have any questions, people, we we coming towards the end, so feel free to put it in the chat, and then we'll go from there. And even afterwards, if you watch it, if you're watching the replay, feel free to drop a question. We'll make sure that we get an answer to. We get a question to Carla, and then she'll be grateful to answer. So. Um, Let me see. Last question I have. What's some advice that you would give people that's looking to getting into like the independent journalism side of things? Like what would be what's one thing or some things?
I would say, as a business owner with communications or storytelling in your background, go to the Jax Chamber. I went through their Jax Bridges program after Dr. Carlton Robinson, who is the innovation CEO of the chamber. He kept encouraging me to come, and I was just like, it's just I was fine. But I did go, and immediately my business catapulted in being able to get government contracts. And thankfully, hey twin, thankfully, I haven't had to bid on anything yet, but they allowed me to get certified so that they helped me become a Jacksonville emerging business. And as soon as I was on that list, JEA contacted me, and I've been able to get 3 contracts out of that. So my Black history storytelling is the one that really touches my heart. But gratefully, there are a lot of opportunities in storytelling. That's not just Black history, which is super important, but I just want to make the case that it's expansive. You just have to be open to pitching yourself, like maybe they don't know they need communications.
Right.
Um, and
Right.
and I just think every industry needs somebody to translate the message.
Listen, I excuse me. It was I don't know exactly when it was, but I remember this is I was working at Florida Blue, and something told me just to go on the intranet, and I was looking at the intranet, and I was like, oh, they got like a whole like communications team. And so I was trying to get over there. I'm like, I want to write the articles. Like I want to write the articles, but like every every company, institution, organization, whatever, you need somebody in that communication space to like illustrate the story, regardless if it's uh you want to build up your clientele or you know people love a good story. So you need somebody that can get in there and like really tell the story. So yeah, you're right. Everybody needs some form of communication in a way that you can translate it to uh, whatever audience that you're shooting for. Like that. Yeah.
And I do want to circle back. I forgot about the Ritz project that we're working on, that same team. But hopefully, the goal is that all of these stories I'm talking about, these positive stories, will be housed in the Ritz because they're redoing their permanent exhibit. So
Yeah.
we hope that that's going to be a one-stop shop where you can go and learn all of this Black history.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, let's look at some comments. Uh, Bobo, shouts out to him. He said, I've been looking to get more involved with the community of writers now that I am coming out of school. What are some communities you would share with new graduates? That's a very great question.
Yeah, hey Babo, I'm glad you're here. That I think that's a great step, like being present to learn. I really would direct you to NABJ, which LP is. I,
Hello.
right. I mean, obviously, he is like on 10 when it comes to access, opportunities, communication. So he gonna put you in the right place. But I honestly, I've been referring that anyway as the one stop where there are multiple journalists and other content creators, writers, influencers in the community. There are other pockets too. I'm on the mayor's film and TV board. That's more centered around filmmakers and filmmaking. So if that's your passion, you can follow up on those meetings and go to different film festivals that those creators are having. But yes, I would say start at NABJ, your local chapter.
Yeah, and just shameless plug on that. Like I'm trying to get everybody in the midst, like even the traditional media as well as the independent journalists. Like I want all of us to be kind of intertwined and support each other what we do. So if you're on the news, that's fine. But like it's a podcast out there that would want to learn something as well. So there are things that cross over on each side. So I'm really I believe in that so much to where I'm promoting that like crazy this year. So me and Baba we talked about it, but I'll make sure that to lead you in the right way. So for sure. All right. Elise Rose, shouts out to her. How can we support as a community better support independent journalists and the work they are doing? So how can we support you, Carla?
Hi, Elise. Thank you for tuning in. I would say, honestly, when you guys share my stories, that brings me so much joy. Just getting the word out because I think that's the biggest barrier, especially as we have bans on Black history. We have control over sharing that through our network, so that is super helpful. I know people talk about needing money and stuff like that. That's not where I am. I kind of like to work opposite. Like I'm the one seeking the grants and getting those contracts to be able to provide the work. As
Yep.
long as you view it, share it, do something with it, that does a lot for me. But thank you for wanting to help.
Indeed. All right. One more question we have. Dripping in Black. Oh, Square. What's up, man? Are you using podcasts? Are you using podcasts as a storytelling medium? I love that.
you know, LP is the podcast king. I need to connect with you more.
Hello.
But honestly, yes, opportunities like this I do, but not on a regular, and I don't have my own podcast. But I have some ideas for Lift Every Voice and Sing Park. I want to have some live broadcast opportunities out there, but it has to be approved by our collective, and thought out. So whatever ideas you have, we want to bring NABJ out there. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I will do a shameless plug. Um, I will say, what is it? June is Black Music Month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's chat. Yes. Let's chat.
Yes. Yeah. I always want to do something for Black Music Month. Like in June, I'm like, I just want to do some type of event, something to celebrate the music here in Jacksonville, as well as just Black music in general. So we'll work on that though. We'll work on that. We got some conversations to have. So
Yeah. And I don't say that to stall, but every idea that comes to me is approved by that collective.
yeah.
And the collective is made up of 7 people. So I actually don't even get a vote. I just pitch your ideas, much like I did at the news station. And there is funding, by the way, to support different ideas because we want to be able to offer programming to the community for free. So
Gotcha. Is there an online source for that for the what is it, the funding?
lebsparkjacks.org.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I can also give out my email, Carla@carlamechele.com, and that's MECHELE.com. But send me information about whatever opportunity or idea you have for at the park, and we'll work through it.
Gotcha. Okay, we're getting towards the end. I have 2 fun questions. It's
Okay.
from the interview deck. I love asking these questions on podcasts sometimes, so I don't know if y'all can see it, but yep, interview deck. So I have 2 questions. I just want to ask you, um, what was the most memorable class you ever taken in school or college?
I have to say ethics. We had this journalism ethics class. Oh my gosh, it was so
Ethics is beautiful. I'm sorry to interrupt. Ethics is I took it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but listen, that
nerding
was my
out.
favorite class when I was getting my master's. Oh my god, the ethics.
Why did you love it?
Oh man, because it's the whole like right versus wrong situation. Like I thought that was beautiful how like almost I don't know the whole right versus wrong. Like what do we constitute as right? What do we constitute as wrong? All that stuff, and it's just the way that it's projected. I loved it. It made me think. Like I already be thinking these things, but being in a
Yes.
setting like that, I was like, oh, so I can really think like this. Oh, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna run point with all my stories.
It
I
does.
love it.
It challenges you to think. But it also challenged me because the answers were subjective. Like you said, there was no one right, wrong, or wrong answer.
Right,
So
right.
I didn't get as great of a grade in that class as I thought I would. And I hate that. Like when you think you know the answer and you turn it in like, oh, I know I did well on that. And then it's like, whoa, wait, I got all those wrong. So I did pass the class, thank God.
Yeah,
But that was like one of the most challenging classes because it challenged you personally.
yeah,
So
yeah. I love that class so much. Oh my god, that was like my favorite class in my master's degree. Oh, it was. I was just sitting in class all the time, like, oh, I could think this way. You allow me to think this way? Oh yeah, no problem. So my papers were so easy to write. Everything it was just beautiful, and then my professor really rewarded like our way of thinking, and like he didn't discourage us from our thoughts. So I don't know. It was beautiful,
well,
beautiful.
I want to give one example real quick for
Okay,
anybody
yeah, go ahead.
in that type of class. for me, what I remember is like it'll give you a question like, and this was years ago. If if a kidnapping happened and you're reporting on it, and the suspect is described this way, say white male, long blonde hair, whatever, has a tattoo. How do you describe that suspect? Do you say that he's white? Is it pertinent to the information, or are you gonna have people searching for any white male on the street? So it was that type of thing. And I use the easy example because obviously we know a lot of times it's Black people who are unfairly described, and but that was the type of question that you would get. And you really had to think through it. Like, does it really add to the story or give context, or is it just your personal opinion?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So, when I was taking the class, O.J. Simpson had just passed away. So we use that as an example. And it was woo, 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 woo. I was like, oh my God. We took one class and like broke down the whole OJ Simpson situation. And it was a very perfect example. Like a
Perfect.
very perfect example. And I was like, wow. Like that's what really made me love the class. I was like, well, how are you going to describe it? Like, how are you going to describe OJ Simpson? Is it going to be Naked Gun? OJ Simpson? Is it going to be Buffalo Bills? Or is it going to be the
Running through the
infamous?
airport,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. OJ, or if I did it, OJ.
Yeah.
Which OJ are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's, I mean, that case obviously controversial, but it's like, because it's so black and white and everything is black and white, but then it blurs every line too. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful, y'all. If y'all can take an ethics class, or if there's something out there, please, I recommend y'all take it. Like, an ethics class will give you a lot of content on context on like the stuff that you're doing, how you report it, and all that stuff. I recommend that so much. So, last one. What's the first impression you want to give people?
Currently?
Uh, I would say legacy wise,
Oh, the first impression.
because you're doing some legendary stuff, man.
Oh, thank you. I I think in general, I want people to feel loved, and I guess that just emanates in different areas. But when I'm doing an interview, I like people to feel heard, because to me that makes them also feel loved. And loved, what I mean by that is just like that you matter, that I have time for you. So that, to me, when I'm giving an interview, that's really how I feel. So I hope that people feel that. And yeah, with my work, the same thing, especially with Black history. I guess it is a love letter, because to me, I'm just passing it from one generation to the next as best that I can.
Right.
And I think maybe every journalist feels this way, but you have a lot of stories to tell. And it's like, if you don't tell them, you kind of feel like guilty, or like you're not, I don't know. You have to pass on the stories. So
Right.
that's what I hope.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we're at the end. Miss Carla, I truly appreciate you taking the time to do this. I love your story. I love everything you're doing. So keep doing it up. I appreciate it. And we're going to support you, over here in NABJ, the community, all that stuff. We are here to support you as much as possible. And feel free to let us know if you need that support. Like, hey, can you share this or do that? Like, please feel free to share, hit us up.
Thank you. You are such a legit person. I appreciate you being one of the best things about Jacksonville for so many years. I remember you before the locks, and so I've seen the growth.
Yeah.
the masters and everything you're doing. So I appreciate you too. And thank you for always circling back around and giving me my flowers. So back at you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Let the people know where they can find you at, where they can get your information and all that.
On social media, I'm Carla Mechele, so CarlaMechele. And on Facebook, that's Carla Mechele Media. My website is carlamechele.com.
Indeed, indeed. All right, my people, thank you so much for tuning in. Share this with your people. Again, when I get back over here, hopefully my voice will be better. In 2 weeks we have another interview that I'm looking forward to doing. It's going to be great. But please make sure you share this video with your circles so people can get more involved with Carla and like everything that's going on. Please make sure that you're following NABJ, the local chapter Northeast Florida. We have a meeting coming up in 3 weeks and all the things. Hold on one second now. Hold on. Now she hit you with the remember the OGP. Hey, I age gracefully. Yes. Still relevant in this game, man. So I'm thankful to still be around the OGP. So but yeah, thank y'all so much for following. Carla, I'm gonna close out, but don't hang up yet. But yeah, thank y'all so much. Follow YouTube and Facebook. Not sure where y'all following at, but make sure you follow all of it. And make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. And y'all have a great weekend, and we will be talking with y'all soon.